Crowd scene.
Packing her bags at the age of 18 and leaving her home in Sweden to pursue her dreams in music and art, Charlotte Eriksson, also known as the Glass Child, has been incredibly prolific as a songwriter, runs her own record label, is the author of numerous books, has a dedicated fan following known as the Creature Family, and is a successful crowdfunder. She joins us in this episode to share her thoughts on her creative process. How does she do it? So there are many treats ahead, including Charlotte singing the song that inspired her career, here live on the show. So welcome to Crowd Scene, the show about successful crowdfunding campaigns and the people who make them happen. I'm Michael Ogden.
And I'm Peter Dean.
Show notes for this episode can be found at crowdsceneshow.com, along with past episodes, songwriters, filmmakers, inventors, designers, and including a talk with another musician you might enjoy, songwriter Kim Bookbinder. And you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Crowd Scene Show. So Charlotte is coming up in just a few minutes, along with another edition of Weird World of Crowdfunding with Chris Day. But first, as always, a quick look at the news.
So Mike, if you look up into the night sky sometime around the middle of this year, 2016, the brightest object you might see might actually be put there thanks to crowdfunding.
Okay, I'm intrigued, Pete. Tell me more.
Well, you may not have heard of a Russian crowdfunding site called Boomstarter, which sounds...
you assume that I don't know everything there is about Russian crowdfunding?
Well, I had assumed that.
Is it called Boomstarter?
Do you know anything about Russian crowdfunding?
Boomstarter, it's a Russian crowdfunding platform.
I think the answer is quite clearly niet. You know nothing about Russian crowdfunding.
All right.
But Boomstarter is, as far as I can tell, a complete rip-off of Kickstarter. The same font, different color. It's boomstarter.ru. Go take a look. There's currently a campaign underway on Boomstarter to fund an enormous solar reflector that will orbit the Earth and shine a light onto dark patches of, I guess, Russia.
Amazing. It sounds kind of more impressive than a watch or a storage cooler or
a fancy wallet.
Yeah. Well, what's this fancy wallet? Okay. Yeah. So it'll fix winters. There'll be no more winters. Is that what you're saying?
There'll be winter, but there'll be maybe winters with
Russia
longer days.
and Siberia and all that will just melt.
But you know what? It made me think that this is a plan of a Bond villain.
Yes.
To extend the daylight hours. This is warping nature, isn't it?
Well, you know what I could do? If I had a 30-hour day, I could do a lot more.
Not a 30-hour day.
Yeah.
Clearly, they still have the same number of hours in the day.
Well, no.
They just have more hours of daylight.
Well, I haven't read about this campaign. Maybe they're
like the campaign
sounds
is
ambitious.
Not to...
I had 6 hours more. I could work on my tennis game.
Wouldn't that involve increasing the orbit of the Earth relative to the sun?
Maybe that's a stretch goal. If you have a crowdfunding news item you'd like to share, tweet it to us at CrowdSceneShow. All right, now on with the show. Let's meet our featured guest, Charlotte Eriksson, singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, also known as the Glass Child.
Charlotte has written and released 5 critically acclaimed EPs and is currently crowdfunding her 3rd full-length album over on Pledge Music. Today, just 6 days into the campaign, she just reached her goal and still has several weeks left to go. So let's find out how Charlotte has achieved so much in her life already and how and why she uses crowdfunding.
Hey, hello. Charlotte.
Hi.
Nice to hear your voice. You've got, this is Michael on this, the American sounding one.
I'm Pete. I'm Pete, the guy with the proper British accent.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
And you sound good. You sound nice and clear over there.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction.
Our pleasure. Well, congratulations, Charlotte. You reached your goal only this morning. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. The whole week has been really incredible. And I was so nervous when I launched the campaign, and I would just feel this huge, pure inspiration and just relief. So it's really good.
Now, this is not your first crowdfunding campaign. So why the nerves this time?
Well, I was actually almost more nervous this time because I felt like I didn't want this one to be a letdown for the fans that I had back then too. Because I felt like I had to give them something new in order to motivate them helping me this time too.
Well, tell us about what you are crowdfunding this time around.
I'm funding my 3rd full-length album, and together with that album, there will be a tour and hopefully a music video and everything that goes around releasing an album nowadays.
And if your fans say to you, well, what's different about this one? What do you say?
Well, for the whole campaign, crowdfunding campaign, I've been preparing a lot. And I'm doing this little project called Looking Back with the Glass Child that I have prepared now for the few last months, where basically I'm giving them 20 live sessions when they enter the campaign. and they will also get a live album by the end of the campaign. So the difference is that I'm way more prepared this time, and I can give them more.
So I have one question, Charlotte.
Yes.
When I listen to this album, how will I feel?
You will feel belonged. You will feel comforted, sheltered, and hopeful.
Wow.
Nice offer.
I'm in.
You're in.
Let's
Hey,
do it.
you convinced
Yes.
Pete. Well done.
Yes.
So, Charlotte, I have a friend of mine. His name is Rob. He's a musician. He's written a number of musicals. He's a successful guy. He's considering crowdfunding, but isn't sure why he should do it. What would you say to Rob to convince him to try crowdfunding?
Well, I would say, first of all, to do a crowdfunding campaign is the same even if you're a musician or anything else. You have to make sure that you have already a dedicated following. The only reason to why I did a crowdfunding campaign was because I knew that so many of my fans, they wanted to help me out. They wanted to support me so that I could keep making music for them. And so this just became a really great way to make it easy for both of us. I felt like I could give them something and they could support me. So the first thing I would say, make sure that you have already an audience who would like to support you. And to know if crowdfunding is the right thing for you, I think you just have to look at what is it that you want to fund, and do you have people who would like to see that thing funded?
So to somebody who doesn't already have an audience, how do you go about building one when you don't have one already?
Yeah, well, that goes back to, I guess, your mission and your mission statement. What is it that you're trying to achieve and create? If you're a musician, obviously that's your music. And to build a following as a musician, we can, write a novel about that. But I guess in the core, it's just about, do you have something that you think a few people need? And then you have to really, really know your audience. That was the best thing that I ever did in my career. I was really sure about my audience, where they were and who they were. And so I tried to just ignore people who I knew wouldn't really understand what I did and just focus completely on these people that I think like what I do.
So you started your career at 17, is that right, Charlotte?
Exactly, yeah. And
you first started, was that you and a guitar and heading to open mic nights, or how did you begin?
Yeah, I was still living in Sweden when I started to learn writing songs and play guitar and things. And then when I moved to London, I was 18, and that's when I started to go to open mic nights and just learn about the industry. And eventually I also released my first EP and started my record label.
I'm curious about, what's that catalyst, whether it's a person, a book, an album, or something that sparked you to go, all right, that is the life I'm going to pursue. You
want to know the specifics?
Yes.
Well, for me, I remember it so clearly because I had this really clear moment. I was not very interested in music when I was younger. My family is not musicians or anything like that. And but then I stumbled upon this album by Counting Crows called August and Everything After. And there was this specific song called Round Here that I heard. And when I heard that, it was just this really corny, magical moment where everything just stopped. And it just hit me like that someone could put music to these feelings. And I just dove into Counting Crows and other bands. And that's when I knew that I wanted to spend my life creating that feeling for other people, because it was such a profound moment for me.
Is there a lyric in that song that particularly resonates with you?
Oh, that's so hard to choose. I think for me, I think that song is just so profound because the way that the lyrics and the melody, they go so well together. If you take away the lyrics, it's still a beautiful lyric, but together with the melody, it's just so strong. And
I know that song. I'm familiar with that song. It's a good size hit as well in America.
Can you sing it, Mike?
I think that actually the fans would rather have Charlotte sing it than me.
Maybe a duet. I don't know it. I'm intrigued to know what it sounds like.
Should I sing it?
Yeah,
sing it a little bit. Yeah.
Round here, we always stand up straight. Round here, we all look the same. Yeah, that's enough.
Boy, am I glad you sang that instead of Mike. That was awesome. Wow, what a voice. That's incredible.
That is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I would just feel like asking Charlotte to sing some more now. I could just
sit back,
spend the afternoon like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of questions to get through instead.
Where do you find that self-knowledge or that sense of I'm going to have to ignore the people who are not into this, was this something that you picked up along the way, or you just you recognize in yourself that there was kind of a steel will there? That's what it took.
Yeah, I think both of those. I think I knew very quickly where to find the people that would like my music, because I'm fortunate enough to know that the people who like my music are usually the same kind of people like me. And so I thought, where do I hang out? Where do I find new music, and where do I interact with people? And I directly knew that that's online. That's mostly on Tumblr and Twitter. And so I just started to connect with people on Tumblr and Twitter and build, relationships and communities and post everything there. But then this whole knowledge that you just have to ignore the other, it's no matter how good you are, or no matter how good the product is that you're doing, there will always be people who just don't get you. And it's really hard to learn that you just have to ignore these people because you're not talking to them. And that took me a few years to realize. But it's a very liberating thing when you get to that understanding, I think.
Was it difficult, Charlotte, in those early days to upload, audio files and video of yourself playing and singing your own songs? Did that take a lot of confidence?
Yeah, in the beginning, it definitely did. In the beginning, when I started to upload just really rough recordings that I didn't tell anyone I knew about it because I was a bit embarrassed. And I kind of just did it first because I wanted to see if there was anyone out there in the world who did understand what I even sung about. But I think that's the amazing thing with the internet, that I could publish something or post something, and there was a girl maybe in the Philippines who wrote to me and said, "Hey, I love this song," and that gives you so much confidence. So I just kept going, and yeah, you build the confidence on the way, I think.
Was there a moment for you that you took a leap forward in terms of reaching a large fan base?
I guess that was when I decided to release my first EP. Because I spent a lot of time first in London just learning about the industry. Then I spent a lot of time trying to learn about how to release a record, how to market a record, and how to just do the whole business side of stuff. And so, yeah, I recorded it, and then I spent months trying to get some kind of exposure for it. And I guess that was the first thing I did to reach a wider audience, to get interviews and features and reviews of the album.
So, Charlotte, you go by the name The Glass Child. Can you tell us where that comes from?
Yeah, the idea of having an artist name, I think, came when I was younger. I was not comfortable in releasing music under my real name because I was still a bit embarrassed about singing and things. And I think that's just a protection thing. But the name The Glass Child comes from when I was younger. I was very shy and guarded. And people always told me that it felt like I was living in a glass bubble. Like I had this shield of glass around me because everyone could always see me. I was everywhere, but it was really hard to get to know me and really reach me. And so they said that it's like you're living behind this glass. And that really just stuck to me. And when I wrote my first song, it was about that, and it was called The Glass Child. So I kept it.
Do you feel like that there are times you feel more comfortable on stage rather than off?
Yeah, definitely. I really do. I also feel way more comfortable when I don't have kind of a one-on-one interaction with someone, because I feel more comfortable when I in my element, and that's when I'm singing. So yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it's just who I am. I think introverts in general find their own ways to communicate, and my way to communicate is through music, and that's just how I feel comfortable, I think.
If you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing?
Well, then I would probably be an author, because I'm also writing books. So I would probably write or do something else that's creative. Lately I've been really getting interested in photography and things. So maybe something like that.
Okay, so it's not like you're going to be a farmer.
That's such a random comment.
I would love to be a farmer though for a little while, or like a gardener or something.
It's early hours.
A little while, yeah. An hour or two. Maybe.
Yeah.
So let's talk crowdfunding. Why Pledge Music as a platform?
Yeah, for my first campaign 2 years ago, I looked into all the different options. There are so many different platforms you can choose from now.
Yeah.
And I weighed the cons and pros and everything. And for me, Pledge Music felt like the best option for me, because it's more about building an engaged community during the whole process of recording and releasing the record than actually just funding the product.
Why are those people on Pledge Music and not on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or other, larger, more mainstream platforms?
Yeah, it works a little bit different. So first of all, Pledge Music is only for musicians. Only artists and musicians can crowdfund there. So generally the audience that go on Pledge Music, they are looking for bands and music to help. That's one reason. But also, like I said, Pledge Music is more about the whole process. Instead of Kickstarter, for example, is just about reaching your funding goal, and that's it. While Pledge Music is very engaged. You give your audience so many things along the way, and it's more about building a community than actually just funding the money.
So on that platform, you're doing regular updates, you're giving us access to behind-the-scenes information, that kind of thing?
Exactly, yeah. I'm giving them tons of free downloads and updates and videos and live sessions and all these things. And there's also a discussion page where I'm interacting with everyone, and it's very just communicative, if that's a word.
Is there a song of yours that you get most asked about?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think I'm always asked to play a song called Let Down, which I'm really happy about because I really like that song. There's also a song called Hypnic Jerk that a lot of people seem to like.
Hypnic Jerk.
I don't know why I think of Peter Dean when you say the word hypnic jerk. But
yeah, why is that, Mike? Bearing in mind that I'm in control of your microphone right now.
And Let Down, why do you think Let Down is something that really resonates with your fans?
I think it's a song that a lot of people can relate to. It's about the feeling of not wanting to be a letdown for the world. There's a line in the song that says, failure scares the hell out of me. And it's basically about wanting to be the best version of yourself and wanting to be a success for yourself and not letting other people down. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Is there an artist whose career you admire?
Oh, there are so many artists that I look up to. When it comes to just building a career, I really look up to independent artists, or at least who have stayed true to themselves. There's a girl called Annie DeFranco that I really look up to. She's been independent for years and years and released so many records I can't even count anymore. And she's just built this incredible community who believes in what she's doing.
And she's been a great mentor to other artists as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and she's really created this amazing community of songwriters and artists, and she's published some books of poetry and things too. And I think that's what I really look up to in people, when they just use their music as this medium to create something bigger, like a community or a platform of some sort.
Charlotte, let's just talk for a moment about what you did before your current crowdfunding campaign. How long did it take you to prepare for that, and what sorts of things did you do to get ready to go live?
For this campaign, I tried to be really prepared, because I remember after my last campaign, when I sat down and I said to myself, what would I do differently? I remember so clearly that I thought to myself, I need to prepare better, because I felt really stressed last time. So it took probably 3 months to prepare this pledge campaign. I have recorded live sessions that I told you about, and it took me a long time to really come up with good rewards, make designs, t-shirt designs, poster designs, create the banners, and just create the copy, the writings, and the whole concept around everything. So it took 3 months this time.
And do you have anyone helping you?
No, I'm all by myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you were nervous at all before you went live, just describe how it was when you pressed the button to take the campaign live.
Yeah, I was super nervous. I woke up really early. I launched it a week ago, and I woke up really early. I thought that I was going to be completely alone that early because I wanted to be ahead of everyone. So I went up at like 5:30 and I was gonna press this launch button, and I was so nervous. And all these thoughts went through my head. Maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe I should just not do it and everything. But then I pressed it, and it was just the most beautiful thing because in like 2-3 hours, my most dedicated fans had shared it everywhere, and they were telling their friends and just posting it everywhere. And I can't really remember exactly. I think I reached around 60-70% the first day, which was amazing.
So you didn't need to be worried after all.
No, I guess not. But I think it's good to be nervous because that means that you're still fighting for something.
We'll be back in a minute with more Charlotte, but first a short break as our pal Chris Day pays us a visit from the weird world of crowdfunding.
So Chris, what's happening in the weird world of crowdfunding?
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, Chris.
Hi there. Basically, what's going on is that I'm bored.
Oh.
Really?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like you, Chris.
I'm bored. I'm at home this time, and
Where's home these days?
It's in Quebec, but I'm bored of being on the sidelines.
You like to be in the thick of it.
I'm the preeminent crowdfunding expert, and I'm watching all these people creating projects, being incredibly successful. Yeah, I'm just tired of observing it. So I'm going to get involved. I'm going to get my hands dirty.
You want in on that action. All right.
I want a piece of that. It's maybe 2 slices.
Well, what you need, though, you need a concept first.
Well, I've got a plan.
Ah.
My plan is I'm going to hit China.
Okay.
Wow, that sounds big.
Yeah, it's pretty bold.
Are we talking about the country or just some plates?
Yeah, it's not just smashing plates. No, that would be, I mean, an easy short-term goal, maybe a baby step.
Start small,
Can I ask you, Chris, why are you aiming towards China? Why not the States? Why not Europe?
Well, that's a good question, Mike. And my answer to that question is it's exploding over there with all these sites. Yulbao raise $11.7 million in a week, and there's also Demo Hour, Angel Crunch, and my personal favourite Zongchu. And so it's a big market.
Do you feel like you've got a better chance in that market?
I think you certainly stand out in the Chinese market, not least because you don't understand Chinese.
Yeah. I think basically not being able to speak Chinese is quite charming. It's a bit like being an Englishman in New York, as Sting once said, I think.
Yes.
Right. Your favourite song.
Pretty much my theme tune. So that's the plan. And what I've got is, while I've been at home, I've been dreamersizing 3 ideas, and I want to pitch them to you right now. And I want you, the listeners, hello, to vote as to which one they think is worth me taking to Shanghai and elevating the hell out of it.
All right, so you're going to share these 3 concepts, and the public, the listeners, are going to vote which one that you are going to take forward. How are they going to reach you?
They can vote through Twitter. Can they email the site?
Yep. So vote on Twitter at Crowdscene Show, or email at hello@crowdsceneshow.com.
Or just fax us at 555 Crowdscene.
Yes.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Nice. Keeping it real. So let the people decide.
Yeah. Let's hear the first concept, Chris.
Okay. So the first concept is called Teaser.
Okay, Teaser. Is that English or Chinese?
Teaser sounds like a gay nightclub for the under 5s, but it's actually a website that hosts trailers for films that should definitely be real.
Okay, all right.
So it's Teaser, TSR, obviously.
Yes, of course.
But it's a site that offers homemade trailers for films imagined by amateurs who dream of being professional. And there are lots of films that people want to see. New superheroes like Velcro Boy or The Avoidables. Maybe a biting satire about the sock industry, or maybe a film where a heist actually goes really smoothly. And the trailers are all put forward for sale to international movie agents. And 5% of the fee goes to Teaser.
And that's you.
Goes to your pocket.
Which is me, and I'm going to just make myself so rich from that. So that is Teaser, and there's a badge.
So that's obviously a terrible idea, Chris. What else you got?
What's number 2?
Okay, so the second idea, if you want another one, is called Domus. Not dumbass, Domus.
Okay.
It's Latin for home.
Okay. Sounds sophisticated.
This monitors your home. It documents your daily routines, your habits, and your interactions, and records data, and by doing so can gamify your home.
Can it see what you're doing in the bathroom?
That's the main use for it. What Domus does, it gamifies your home. It awards points for good deeds and chores, and deducts them for untidiness.
Okay.
Chris, are you trying to reinvent your mother?
Yeah, it's like weird science, except with mothers.
And who's setting the criteria for what is good behavior? Is it you?
Yes. As the owner of the house, I would be determining that. So basically, by recording all the information, you find out when Freddie last did the hoovering and how long has Gavin been in the shower.
Do you know what I think, Pete?
What?
I think that Chris thinks that he's going to be in charge of this, but the technology will be way beyond you, and that everyone else in the house will know how to make this work way before you do, Chris.
Oh, wow.
You know what I think? I think that Chris is simply going to use this data to blackmail the people who sign up to this thing. Just another of Chris's schemes to get rich at the expense of other people.
Yes.
Just so typical of you, Chris.
What's number 3, Chris? That's Domus.
That is Domus. Gary is in the shower. What's he doing in there? No points for you, Gary.
-3.
And what's the ultimate reward?
I think I leave him alone. I think that the actual Domus is taken out of your home, as that's the reward.
Yes. Well, I think the Chinese are going to love that.
Yeah, that's got hit written all over it.
Cool. Okay, so in case you want a third option.
Well, we're running out of time, but just do it anyway.
Okay. Well, ironically, this is time-based because this is a time-wasting app. It's called Dither.
Dither. Okay, this sounds like it's got potential.
Dither is a time-wasting app designed to help you cut down on productivity. It helps you stay unfocused and avoid life goals, both large and small.
Okay.
I like this.
I'm not sure the Chinese are going to go for this. I mean, they're real go-getters.
Exactly, Mike. Where you see sort of industrious Chinese people, I see a gap in the market because they don't know how to procrastinate. That's the big cultural problem here.
And that is something you've committed to procrastination for, I would say, decades of your life, Chris.
I've spent more than half of my working life dedicated to avoiding the other half.
You've been a tireless procrastinator.
I see myself as a champion. It's like time wasters of the world. Tidy your desks.
So your life goal now becomes to introduce laziness to China.
That's the idea, really.
And how does Dither work? I mean, so I switch it on, and then what happens?
Well, you'll be relieved to hear it's an app. It gives you live updates of man-hours wasted each working week, and it gives you ideas for deviations, such as a snack planner or a list of software that you can trial, and also maybe a venue for left-field ideas that will clearly never happen, but seem like they're really good ideas at the time.
Seems like a spectacular way to waste time and ruin your dreams.
Or put them off anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Okay, so hit us up at Twitter at CrowdSceneShow or email at hello@crowdsceneshow.com to vote on the 3. Tell us the titles again, Chris, before you go.
So we've got the first one is Teaser. The second one is Domus, which is the gamified home routine watch app thing, which monitors your the energy levels of your marriage as well. That was another issue. So number 3 is Dither, introducing laziness and time wasting to an uncaring Eastern world.
I think the Chinese are going to love these ideas, Chris.
This is exciting. That feels like the start of a new era. All right, so listeners have 2 weeks to get their votes in, and at the next episode, it'll be revealed what Chris is going to introduce to China in the world of crowdfunding.
Excellent.
That is weird.
Nice one.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care.
Thanks, Chris. Talk to you next week.
Bye then.
Bye-bye. And that was crowdfunding expert Chris Day. Now, back to the show.
Well, how long was your campaign and why did you choose that length?
Yeah, this is a really interesting thing that I spent a lot of time working on this time. For my last campaign, I ran it for 40 days because I had read that was a good length to run it because then you could be intense the whole time. Well, this time I choose to do it really intentionally longer. So I ran it for 60 days this time. And I do that because for the last campaign, I ran it for 40 days, then it ended, then I went away to record and create the record, then I released the record. And during that time, there were so many people coming to me saying, oh, I'm so sad that I didn't discover you until now. I would have loved to support you on Pledge Music. And so this time I felt, well, it's better that I run it all the way up to the release so that people have the chance to discover me in the meantime and jump on board and get all these exclusive content instead of just closing it off. And that way I can let people be a part of the whole process up until the release.
I'm curious about, there are many musicians who use Patreon or Pledge Music who go out and get 7 backers or a dozen or fall far short of the kind of numbers that you draw. How do you get your kind of numbers as opposed to a large amount of musicians out there who are struggling to find their crowd?
I think, first of all, I have spent almost 8 years now building my audience. And for so many years, the first 5 years, I gave away things for free. And I still give away music for free. So I think the thing is you just have to build your audience. And that takes time because you need to build real relationships with people. You have to remember that you're asking people for money. People don't just throw away money if they don't know you and have a personal connection to you or your music or your product. So I spent 8 years now building my audience, and I think that's how my audience can be quite big and dedicated now.
And you run a monthly newsletter, is that right?
Yes, exactly, I do, yeah.
And what kind of information are you sharing there?
I post my writings or poetry or just journals, also updates about what I'm working on, sometimes new YouTube covers, sometimes free downloads of just demo songs, and just give them free content and inspiration and things that I'm inspired by at the moment.
In terms of your songwriting approach, how do you know when a song is complete, when you're done with it?
Oh, that's such a great question. Some songwriters will answer this and say a song is never complete. I'm kind of opposite. I feel really well when a song is done. I'm the kind of person that if I start to write a song, I have to finish it in the same sitting. Otherwise, it can't happen. So when I start writing a song, I have to finish it, and that's the way it is. Obviously, sometimes I go back and I edit some lyrics and some melodies, and the song always changes a little bit when you produce it. But I write it, and then that's it, basically.
You're just looking back through your back catalogue, if I can use that word. Your music is clearly very, very personal and perhaps sometimes introspective. And the campaign too must be very personal to you. Do you find that your music has become some kind of diary or a way for you to cope with the world?
Yeah, definitely. That was the reason to why I started to write music in the first place. Music just became this outlet for me to express myself, because I was never a kid who could go to someone and just say, this is how I feel. So music became my outlet. And that was also the reason to why I posted it on way back when MySpace existed. I posted it on MySpace because I just kind of needed to know if someone else felt what I felt. So yeah, my music is super personal. And I also think that is why quite a few people can get such a personal connection to it.
For someone who's gotten so much done, you're still in your 20s and written a number of books and albums. Are you someone that talks about things with people and say, this is something I'm going to do, and then do it? Or do you do it and then tell people about the project?
I'm not a person who talks to people about anything, really. I go on in my own pace. But yeah, I have so many ideas in my head that I'd like to create, and I'm always thinking about something like a project. And so what I usually do is, for example, if it's a book or a new album, I think about it for a long time. I gather ideas. I start it kind of really softly. But then when I decide this is what I'm going to do, I always make a little announcement on my social media and say, for example, I am starting to write my new book now. Because when I do that, I have announced it to the world, and then I feel accountable. So I need to do this now.
I know that feeling. Yeah,
yeah, it's a great feeling, and it's the same. For example, in January, I posted some New Year's resolutions a bucket list that I wanted to achieve this year, and now I kind of feel like I have to do these things now. Otherwise, I just fooled the world.
Okay,
so it's really good.
You've got to share these with us too, Charlotte.
Oh no, it was quite many. It was 10 of them. But one of them was to release a new record and to make a successful Pledge Music campaign. So I'm achieving 2 at least.
Well, we're ticking those boxes off. So Charlotte, what is your album going to be called?
I can't say that yet. It's not announced.
I see.
Secret so far.
Yeah. So Charlotte, you know what you're doing when it comes to crowdfunding. What advice do you have for anyone out there who wants to start their own campaign? Can you give us your top tips for crowdfunding success?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the absolutely most important thing first is to build an audience, to spend time before you even think about launching a crowdfunding campaign. You have to build an audience. You have to connect with people, give away things for free, create a monthly newsletter. It's great. And just post writings or pictures or music or whatever you're doing for free on social media, on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, your website, everywhere. And when you're building an audience, it's super important to go where people are. You can never expect people to come to you. So if you think that your audience are hanging out on Instagram, you have to go there. So that's number 1. Number 2, obviously, is prepare your campaign well before. You have to know how to actually create these rewards that you're going to give people, and you have to have an action plan to know how to create those things. And also, obviously, a super well-planned action plan of how to create the actual product that you're funding. Because that's what I felt a bit for my last crowdfunding campaign. I had funded everything 100%. And then I stood there and said, oh my God, I actually have to make this record now. I have no idea how to do it. And then I felt a bit stressed. So be very well prepared. And number 3, I would probably say, create something. When you're creating a crowdfunding campaign, I would suggest to have something more than just the product, the end product. Make a project around it. Like for me now, I'm doing this Looking Back with a Glass Child. I'm giving people 20 live sessions. And that can be anything. You can give them just free writings every week, free articles, or I don't know, the opportunities are endless, but give them something more than just a product, I would say. Those are probably my top 3.
Has anything surprised you about your campaign? Has anyone contributed far more than you thought they would? Or you had support from strange, faraway places around the world?
Yeah, I'm always surprised about how many people discover me through the platforms for example, on Pledge Music. I've had a few people saying that they were just surfing around on Pledge Music and they found the picture of me and liked my introduction video. I did this little video to introduce my campaign and they liked it, so they joined. And I think these things are amazing because that's obviously the reason to why I'm doing a crowdfunding campaign is to fund the album. But more than that, it's to create buzz and engagement in my release. And so if people discover me through Pledge Music, that's incredible, I think.
We like to do something called guest picks. If you've heard the show before, you'll know what this is. This is where our guests tell us about another crowdfunding campaign, past or present, that you think is worth looking at.
I've been looking through so many campaigns right now, but I can't really choose one. But I would say if you're into music, you should definitely just go on pledgemusic.com, and on their home page, they always feature both new projects, they feature ending soon projects, and the most popular ones. And they change there almost every day. And I found so many new bands and artists to listen to that just have become my new favorite bands. So I would say just go on these sites. It's the same with Kickstarter. Sometimes I go there just to get inspired by these crazy, strange products people are creating, or apps or whatever.
Has that organization, has Pledge Music itself offered any help to you in your campaign?
Oh, amazing. That's also one reason to why I choose Pledge Music. And I also have to say that I am in no way sponsored by Pledge Music. Right? It sounds like I'm making a commercial.
It is sounding a little bit like that, yeah.
I do, but I have no...
that's the name of the album,
really.
is Pledge Music.
Yes.
No, I just really love it because when you join there, you get this your personal kind of campaign manager, and I have the same guy who helped me for my last one called Joe. He's been so helpful. They give you personal advice on tweaking your rewards, tweaking your updates, tweeting your text and everything. And their customer support is great. If you have a question, they will answer right away. So it's been so good.
That's a nice shout out to Joe of Pledge Music.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
Now, on your blog, on your newsletter, you always have some terrific quotes, that things that inspire you. What's some words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us today?
I'm going to share a quote that I have written on my wall right before me, and it says, "You can only lose what you cling to." And this is a quote that no one seemed to really know who said it, but they do give credit to Buddha. I don't think that's right, but the thought at least means so much to me, because it just stands for the fact that you only feel the feeling of missing when you think that you own something. And you can, take that to anything, to relationships, but also for me with my music. If I start to feel like I am scared of losing my success, or scared of losing my audience, or the fear of failure, if I can just remember that as long as I know that I don't own anything, I can feel a bit more free. So that's a quote that I'd like to share.
That's I like
that.
that.
Lovely.
When you mentioned fear, do you have stage fright?
No, I don't have stage fright. I did when I was younger, but not anymore.
So what do you tell yourself before you walk out?
Well, nowadays, being on the stage is the best feeling in the world. That's where I feel free. So I just go out and enjoy it, I think.
Pete and I are trying something new. I want to throw 3 quick fire questions at you. Number 1, 3 books you would recommend, or a book you would recommend.
Oh, okay. I read so many books, so that's great. The first thing that comes to mind is a Joseph Campbell companion, I think it's called. Joseph Campbell is just amazing, and he was a philosopher, and he is a great writer and has so many great thoughts. So that's the first one.
I know him well. There's a documentary series called The Power of Myth as well, that he does a series of interviews, and he's really talking a lot about storytelling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think every kind of, no matter what you're doing, you can learn something from him. If you're a marketer, or if you're a musician or writer or anything, you can always take something from him. So that's a good recommendation.
Excellent. How about an album that you're listening to right now?
Right now, I'm listening to an album called Ixora by Copeland. I think that's how you pronounce it, Ixora. Maybe I'm wrong. But the latest album by Copeland, it's just incredible and beautiful.
Lastly, Charlotte, a place you've never been to but want to.
Oh, so many. I would love to go to Canada. That's a dream of mine right now.
What makes you want to go to Canada? Not that I said that in such a way
that very judgmental.
It does. I've got to say, Canada's beautiful. But I didn't mean it quite like that. But I'm
sorry, Canadians.
I meant that I'm intrigued to know
write
why.
Directly to Pete at crowdteenshow.com.
Well, just because all the pictures I find of Canada are just so beautiful, and it seems like the people seem just to be so friendly, and also the music scene is amazing. I find so many artists that are kind of unknown in Europe, but they are just huge in Canada, and I love their music. So I think I would like it there, actually.
Convinced Pete now? Is that on your list?
I've been to Canada, and it is beautiful. People are wonderful as well.
Where does Pete want to go? Where do you want to go, Pete? What's next?
Where do I want to go?
Yeah.
I've been everywhere. You know where I haven't been,
I
though?
went to Sweden.
I have not been to Sweden. And I have always wanted to go to Sweden, yeah.
So what should Pete see? Pete's there for a weekend. What should he see in Sweden?
Oh, then you should go way up north and watch the Northern Lights.
Oh, yeah. That is actually top of my bucket list.
I do want to see that.
Yeah.
You should. Have you seen it, Charlotte?
I haven't yet. I have been up north, but I haven't seen the lights now.
Do you have to be lucky to see those? Is that...
I'm not sure. I think that you have to be there at the right time of the year. But yeah, I will before I die.
Yeah, you need a decent coat and a nice pair of gloves, don't you? It's a bit cold.
You really do. Yeah.
You have been a super guest here on Crowd Scene Show. Thank you, Charlotte, for all your time and insights.
Yes, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for what you guys are doing.
Hey, it's our pleasure. Look, where can people go online to find out more about you, The Glass Child, your Pledge Music campaign, and everything else?
You can go to my website, theglasschildofficial.com. There you find links to all my sites, to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr. And also come and join me on pledgemusic.com/theglasschild. you can watch this introduction video and see if you like what I'm about.
Fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And before you go, Charlotte, how are you celebrating tonight?
I'm probably gonna go for some whiskey somewhere and I don't know, just wander around in this town.
Sounds good.
Just wander around drinking
Wander around
whiskey.
the town.
Well, Charlotte, when you're next in London, give us a shout. Beers are on us.
Yeah, and whiskey,
Yeah,
of course.
I definitely will. Awesome.
Great. All right.
All
Take
right.
care, Charlotte.
Thank you so much. And it's great to hear you singing as well. Wow, that blew us away.
Yeah, it was a special moment.
Thank you guys so much. It was so much fun.
So you've been listening to Crowd Scene, the show about successful crowdfunding campaigns and the people who make them happen. Our big thanks to Charlotte Erickson.
And to find out more about Charlotte, aka The Glass Child, please visit theglasschildofficial.com. And to get in touch or hear about upcoming guests on this show, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Crowd Scene Show.
If you like the podcast and would like us to make more, a great way to support the show is to write a positive review on iTunes. Just takes a second and helps us reach more listeners.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Crowd Scene on iTunes or any other podcast app.
So until next episode, thanks for listening. Pete, you were growing up, you played a lot of music. Tell me one of the names of your bands.
Well, the main band I was in was called The Faux Amis.
The Faux Ami?
Yeah, it's French.
That's a terrible, terrible name.
It's a great name.
Did you come up with that?
No, it was Higgins, the bass player, came up with that.
Was there any kind of debate about that?
No, it was just a clear win. It was just an obviously good name.
The Faux Amis?
The Faux Amis. What was your band called, Mike?
Spiders of the Night.
Was it?
Yeah, when I was 9, had a
When
band.
you were 9?
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, I
Well,
sold
what-
tickets.
Who else was in your band? Names.
Kevin, my cousin, and Jay Eisenstadt on drums.
What was his name?
Jay Eisenstadt.
Jay
Hey, Jay.
Eisenstadt on drums.
Wherever you are out there in the world,
Yeah.
we need a reunion.
Give us a call. I want to know, Jay Eisenstadt, if this is true. And whether Mike was the same then as he is now.
I pretty much was.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Crowd scene, gonna kick it with Pete and Mike. Crowd scene, interviews behind the hype. Crowd scene, crowd scene. What do you do? What do you say to make crowdfunding go your way? Crowd scene, crowd scene. Crowd scene, crowd scene, crowd scene. Your shake brings all the backers to the yard.
Now that's what I call epic.